that I'm not making any questions here, but I have to restate that the entire student body is very disappointed by any of the arrangement that was made by the school.
Okay, Marcus, let me respond to that. I mean, I'm here now to talk to you. It's 2 o'clock in the morning and I've come down to talk to you. I offered to talk to you or to representatives about 8 o'clock. Okay, so about 6 hours ago, I offered to talk to students and I was told that it wasn't acceptable because you wanted to talk to the council chairman. Now, I haven't managed to arrange for you to talk to the council chairman. Ultimately, I've come to talk to you myself. That's all I can do. I've told you accurately what happened in the council meeting. I've arranged a meeting for student representatives with council chairman so that you will get some dialogue. You say you're disappointed. I'm also disappointed. When I tried to leave the building at about 8 o'clock or 8:30, something like that, I felt my life was in danger. I was in a crush and I was in physical danger. And I was disappointed by that too, because I don't think I or any other council member should have to put up with that. So I'm also disappointed by the way things turned out tonight. I think it's a very unfortunate episode. I think it's damaged the university's reputation. I don't think it's actually helped the cause that you're aiming to promote, because actually the council did make a resolution to have exactly the review that the students have been asking for. So I think we can all learn lessons from tonight. Any more questions? Or any short questions? Let somebody else have a say. Hang on.
Hello, Vice Chancellor. My name is Edward. I'm a member of the Student Strike Committee. I think you do not know what happened downstairs in the car park. You know, for the whole night, we the students had received a message that you or Alpha Lee will talk to us, will negotiate with us outside this building. But what happened is that the police, they tried to march into the car park to arrest one of our students. And while we are protecting our school, while we are protecting our car park to stop them to march in, Alpha Lee, at this point of time, he escaped with all the police protection. That is a plot. That is a breach of integrity of all of the council members. You know what happened? We have received a message that you will talk with us, but they escaped. While the police are trying to attack, trying to march in this building, while they are arresting our students. So you know how disappointed we are?
Okay, so my understanding is that there have been no arrests, but obviously we need to check on that fact as well. I don't know exactly what happened, and I'm not responsible for police tactics. The agreement was that I would come and talk to you, and I've been up there waiting for hours for permission to come down because there have been various changes of where I was going to stand or who I was going to speak to. So honestly, in good faith, I offered to speak to the students about 5 or 6 hours ago, and I've been waiting since then to do it. So what else happened in the meantime, what's happened with getting other people out of the building or what the police did, I'm afraid I'm not responsible for. But my offer to speak to the students was made some time ago, and I've finally made it down here now. So as far as I'm concerned, I've kept my side of the bargain.
Thank you. Professor just said that the council has exactly met our demand, but I'm very sure here that you don't even know what our demands were. We've been making very numerous announcements that what we are asking for is a definite time frame on how that review panel will work on, because we have learned from the lesson of Professor Johannes Chan's appointment, which has been delaying forever without a time frame set in the committee's terms of reference. That's why we are asking for a very clear terms of reference and time frame. And I believe I've delivered the message very clearly to the acting DOSA that we have a bottom line for a dialogue with Professor Mr. Arthur Lee, because we would like to call for his promise that he will put forward a time frame which he himself supports, so that the council could come up with a definite period in the next council meeting. That was the basis of that dialogue. And we also expressed clearly to the acting DOSA that we would like you to give us a very clear date if you are going to arrange that meeting. Not tonight. Of course, we have been asking for the meeting also for many hours that we would like to meet with Arthur Lee tonight to get his promise on these two things. So I believe there are different dialogues happening inside the meeting room. I'm not sure any of those dialogues have been on how to let Arthur Lee escape, but I'm sure that students here expressing our wish to talk with Arthur Lee has not been satisfied with any of our demands, and it is clearly a deceiving act that while the CPAO and also the CEDAR's representatives are dealing with the students that will have a chance to have a dialogue with Arthur Lee, or when they express the wish that you are going to come down, suddenly the police marched in, and even for this dialogue to happen, I can clearly explain the situation was that you planned to have this dialogue only under that canopy, which means we cannot accommodate nearly half of the students here. And the CPAO even let the reporters to set all the equipments just in front of you, which means nearly no students can be in contact with you. So I don't know if that is called a dialogue, or I'm sorry to say that I personally believe that was only a PR show if the dialogue was conducted that way. So basically, personally, I'm really disappointed with what's happened today, and my question is that if this dialogue is going to happen, when exactly it would happen? I believe we need an answer tonight. And secondly, if this dialogue is going to happen, will the agenda cover the two bottom lines I've just mentioned, which is Mr. Arthur Lee would propose a time frame that he himself would support, and secondly, whether this time frame, Mr. Arthur Lee can promise that in the next council meeting, council members would have a consent on the time frame, no matter how many years it is, of course with rationale or with reference to previous experience, which we students suggested to be 1 year, because in the year 2009, the review panel also took only 1 year to finish that review.
My understanding of, I realize that this is not all of your demands, but my understanding of one of your demands was that the council should agree to undertake a review of the university governance, or to commission a review of the university governance. Personally, I don't think the council should review itself. I think it should be an external review. But anyway, to commission a review of university governance. And as far as I'm concerned, that demand has been met because the council did agree to do that. As regards the timescale, if I'm correct, you're not thinking about the timescale of when the review would start, but by when it would be completed. Is that what you're saying? So I think the difficulty with giving a guarantee about that is because there is this UGC report, which, in my opinion, it makes sense to wait for that report before we start. So it's difficult to commission a review until you know what it is you're going to be responding to. So if and I've been told that it's likely that that report will be available within 2 months. So within 2 months we'll know what the UGC report says, and we can decide what we need to respond to and any additional issues that we need to respond to, and then we can commission the review. I agree with you that a timescale of something like a year to get a review completed would be very reasonable, but it's a bit difficult to tell you when the start point is because we're going to wait for the UGC report. As I said earlier on, since if the UGC report is delayed for any reason, then the university has to have a review at some stage. And again, I would have thought agreeing to do that within a year would be very reasonable because it's already overdue. It was last reviewed in 2009. So I think those are the timescale issues that, as far as I can tell you tonight. In terms of the precise date of a meeting with Arthur Lee, I carry my diary with me everywhere, so I would have been prepared to set that date tonight, but it wasn't possible because Arthur Lee didn't have his diary with him. So we need to set a diary date that's suitable for both of us and find a suitable venue and all that sort of thing. So there is some arrangement that needs to be required. I hope that can be arranged very quickly. We've said that it should be before the end of next week, so in the next 10 days. So that gives you a bracket of time, but it doesn't give you a precise time. I accept that, but that's the best that I was able to do. And the agenda for the meeting, I think the agenda is entirely up to you. We can agree an agenda beforehand, or we can have an agenda at the time. I think that's fine. If the agenda includes issues of discussion of the timescale of the review, then that's fine, and I'm sure that will be fine by Professor Lee as well. I think you'll get the same message as I've given you now, which is that it's quite difficult to be, firstly, it's very difficult to guarantee a time for a review to be completed because it's an independent review. We don't know how many questions they're going to be asked. We don't know about the availability of panel members, so there's all sorts of variables, but I quite agree that a period of about a year would seem to me to be very reasonable as a sort of maximum. But giving you anything tighter within that, I think, is very difficult. And as I said, giving you a start time is difficult. And I think you'll get the same answers from any future dialogue.
Would the dialogue be public?
That's the other thing. Douglas has just reminded me about an agenda item for council. So obviously there is a student representative on the agenda on the council, and any member of council can propose agenda items. And so if there's a desire to get an agenda item onto a future council meeting, that opportunity is always available to all council members, including Billy, who's currently the student representative. So getting an agenda item doesn't depend on the dialogue with me or with Arthur Lee, but there are various routes to getting an agenda item onto council. But if you will have a dialogue with Professor Lee before the end of next week, at which you can raise that point.
Thank you. But I would like to make it very clear that actually we also take into consideration the UGC report, but as you've mentioned, it will be released probably within 2 months. So it is very possible that we can also set a time frame which we take those 2 months into consideration. So we totally don't understand that why, if that is a valid reason, Mr. Arthur Lee cannot explain to the students directly. That is exactly what we are calling for. Like, we can also have a dialogue on that, expressing our concerns, and also we can also give a suggestion that we can perhaps lengthen the 1 year into 1 year and 2 months, if that is a valid consideration. But the point is that we can have no such dialogue. And why we wouldn't accept such an open agenda thing is because it is quite predictable that Mr. Arthur Lee will say that it is only a dialogue for one time, a one-off dialogue. Then he will speak out all his concerns, and after all, he will say no to our two bottom lines because of those concerns. So what we are calling for is that the dialogue won't end before he proposes an actual time frame which he himself supports. So this is also a response to the last point you've mentioned, because there is difference with Billy suggesting an agenda item, because we need the council chairperson. If Mr. Arthur Lee thinks he should be, then he needs to carry the responsibility of promising us that this time frame will exist, and he personally has a view on what that time frame should be. This is the problem of representation and also legitimacy. It is really representing different things. Yeah.
Okay, so I suggest that you, if you're going to be one of the student representatives to meet with Arthur Lee in the next 10 days, I suggest that you raise that point with him then, and I'll be there as well, and we can discuss the timescale and your concerns about it. That's the dialogue that you're seeking. Okay, it hasn't happened tonight, but you have got a promise of a dialogue within the next 10 days, and I think you can raise the point about timescales there. As I said, I think I'm anticipating, I'm giving you my answers. I'm not going to speak for him, he can speak for himself, but you can have that dialogue with him about the timescales, and if he agrees to a year or a year and 2 months or whatever, then that can be discussed with the council at the next council meeting. But you have an opportunity to raise that with him in our meeting in 10 days' time, or in the next 10 days. Okay, now, I did say I wanted everybody to go home, so is there any more questions? Quick question. Okay, now, I'm speaking to the Hong Kong U students now. I want you to leave and go home because by staying, you're blocking the administration of the university. I'm particularly concerned about everybody's safety. I want everyone to leave peacefully, go home, get warm, and let's discuss all these issues on another day via your representatives with the meeting in the next 10 days. And I will always welcome constructive debate with students or staff or anybody from the university. What I don't welcome is danger. And I'm very concerned that we all get away from here safely without any injuries. So please, let's all leave, and please leave in an orderly and safe manner, and get yourselves warm and dry. This is going to be the last one, okay?
As a Hong Kong student, I just want to know why you can stay that long to come face us. But why do the school have to try so hard to prevent our faculty to have a meeting with us? We didn't have to run, we didn't have to stay here freezing. Why? Can you explain to you why the school have to try so hard to help our faculty to prevent seeing even any one of us, to not to even have to be responsible of any of us? Why the school have to do this when we are part of the school? Please tell me why. I really don't understand. I really don't understand why we have to stay here now.
Okay, let me turn back this way. So I'm not turning my back on you, but they wanted me to look this way. I don't think you should take it that the schools tried to achieve any particular end apart from to protect everybody's safety. So we have a responsibility for the safety and security of everybody, students, staff, council members, presidents, everybody. And so whatever actions were taken by the police to escort Professor Lee out of the premises has nothing to do with me, and it's entirely a matter for the police, and they're doing their best to protect his safety. I've been waiting, as I said, for hours to come and talk to you, and as far as I'm concerned, that's the reason I came down. That's the reason, because I wanted to keep my promise to you. It wasn't possible to arrange a dialogue with Professor Lee, but I hope I've achieved the next best thing, which is a meeting with him sometime in the next 10 days for your representative. So I'm sorry that doesn't give you exactly what you wanted, and I'm sorry you've spent all evening standing around in the cold and rain, but please now bring it to an end and go home. I'm going to stop at that point.